Good afternoon, sir and classmate. My name is Clysa Salazar from BEd 3E and I am from the group number 5 Strategies. So for today's video, we will be talking about the strategy to use if you want to work to close the mathematics achievement gap in your classroom. But first, we will have a story or scenario that shows some situation na hindi natin alam na nararanasan pala ng bata na nagkakaroon ng crucial impact sa achievement ng bata. It is entitled Adam's World. One day, Adam ran through the school door and down the hall late yet again. Adam, Mrs. Moore, the school clerk, called out. Come in and get your tardy sleep. Don't you know what time school starts? It's the same time every day. Mrs. Moore sighed and shook her head as Adam took the tardy sleep from her. Students had more respect for school in her day. Grasping the tardy sleep tightly, Adam sprinted through the school halls, slowing to a fast walk when he passed open classroom doors. He didn't want to get anyone else mad today. Dodging past his classmate, he could hear them whispering and commenting on his uniform. The stains had been there most of the year and his shoes were without laces. As he raced up the stairs, he realized he hadn't finished his homework. Because his mom worked the overnight shift last night, so he had stayed at his grandmother, leaving his belongings back at his house. Good morning, Adam. Get your stuff put away quickly and bring me that homework. His teacher, Mrs. Stanley, called as 34 of Adam's classmates swarmed around her waving their papers. Adam must have looked at her oddly as she said again, Adam, where's your homework? Adam tried to explain but wasn't given much time before Mrs. Stanley frowned, slowly shaking her head and said, Oh, Adam, no homework? You'll need to stay in here and finish your homework with me. No recess for you today. She looked so sad that Adam's heart sank. What is happening with Adam? Mrs. Stanley thought, but before she could ask him, Mrs. Stanley, Mrs. Stanley, Mrs. Stanley. 3 students ran up to her desk, jockeying for her attention. As he slowly walked to his seat, Adam's head swirled with the details of the morning. He had only been up for an hour, but that hour contained a rush out the door without his belongings, no food since lunch at school yesterday, witnessing a fight on his way to school, Mrs. Moore getting mad at him, and Mrs. Stanley looking sad. His one reprieve is a break from it all, the recess. But it was gone, leaving this day just like a slew of others. As Adam tried to focus on the math problems and the sheet of other problems that still needed to be completed, his mind kept returning to the fight he had seen. His stomach cramped and his eyes became droopy from a lack of sleep. He sat himself up, straightening in his seat, telling himself to focus. But the harder he tried, the harder it was. He couldn't shake the awful feeling of all the events leading up to this moment. He was tired. Tired of feeling tired. Tired of feeling behind and not good enough. After a few minutes, he simply gave up and gently put his head down. So, naintindihan po ba yung kwento? It is all about Adam's world. Ito yung mga naranasan ni Adam sa pagpasok sa eskwela in just 1 hour. Lahat to naranasan niya. And other people don't know na ganun pala yung nangyari sa kanya bago pa siya makadating sa classroom nila. So, minsan di ba, napakadali na kausapin yung bata kapag ang pinag-uusapan is yung performance niya sa klase. Yung scores na nakukuha niya na mababa compare sa mga kaklase niya. But, madalas, hindi natin napag-uusapan or hindi natin nabibigyan ng pansin yung bata holistically. Kasi there are these instance na the children in a low-income area, they face a lot of problems or situations na hindi alam ng teachers na maaaring maka-impact o magkaroon ng impact sa learning process ng bata. We do talk about making schools a welcoming place. Sinasabi na it is the second home of the students kasi most of the time in his day or in his or her day spent on the school. But for many, it is not. It is not a welcoming place. Minsan, we do talk about the best strategies na gagamitin natin sa pagtuturo para yung teaching and learning process is maganda or ma-acquire agad ng bata yung ituturo natin. We even talk about kung ano dapat yung ituturo natin sa bata or dapat nating gawin na strategies, methods, or mga ituturo natin sa bata so that they can learn better. Pero iilan lang yung started to talk about how stress impacts students from kindergarten through high school. Kasi 'di ba, buti ba yung bata walang nararanasang stress. Ganun. Sana bata na lang ako ulit, ganun 'di ba? Pero meron din palang stress or nakukuhang stress yung bata from kindergarten to through high school. Hindi lang, kasi most of the time, yung stress, ang perspective ng tao is for adults lang. Kasi sila yung nakakaranas ng problema, ng responsibility, ganun. But, it was not. Nakakaranas din ng stress yung mga bata. So, put yourself in Adam's situation for a moment. As an adult, the constant stress upon stress would eventually eat away at you. Diba? Kung ikaw si Adam, nasa harap ka ng kaklase mo, 34 students na classmate mo. Ikaw ay natawag, wala kang homework, wala kang masabi. Hindi ka nabigyan ng chance na mag-explain. Tapos yung mga kaklase mo, meron silang lahat sagot. They wave their papers around the teacher para sila yung tawagin, pero ikaw yung tinawag. Out of 34 students, diba? So, kung ikaw yun, diba, parang yung pressure, mahihiya ka. Tayo nga ngayon, ngayong online, nahihiya pa tayong, personally ako nahihiya akong mag-recite kahit may sagot ako kasi baka i-judge ka nila. Ganun. Nakakahiya kasi walang interaction nung nangyayari kasi hindi katulad ng face-to-face na makikita mo yung mga itsura ng mga klase mo, ganun. Habang sumasagot ka na kasi ang tahimik lang, ganun. Kung hindi magre-response yung teacher, walang interaction. So, nakakahiyang sumagot. Yun. So, kung ikaw si Adam, how will you handle or how will you cope up in that situation? With that, yung mga ganun sitwasyon, nakakapagbigay na pala ng stress sa bata. Kapag nape-pressure sila, parang ganun. Yung mga, tapos nadadagdagan pa yung mga nararanasan nila sa labas ng eskwelahan, ganun. So, this type of stress, that kind that is chronic in nature and develops throughout a young adult's life, can be labeled as toxic stress. So, toxic stress such as poverty, abuse or neglect, parental substance abuse or mental illness, and exposure to violence has the potential to damage the architecture of the developing brain. It can impair school readiness, academic achievement, and both physical and mental health. In addition, research has shown that negative emotions like anger reduce achievement partly because they negatively affect higher order thinking. So, yung mga negative emotion pala na nararamdaman natin ng mga tao, ng mga bata, or kahit anong edad is nakaka-apekto sa higher order thinking. Wherein kasama dito yung problem solving, memory, strategic thinking, critical thinking, ganon. And there is also substantial evidence that cognitive process are strongly related to achievement. Thus, kung meron kang anxiety, kung you have negative feelings or emotions na nararanasan, it may disrupt students' ability to recall relevant material. So, mahihirapan ka. You have this negative feeling in yourself that may hinder the process of learning. So, Blair 2002 noted that young children characterized by negative emotionality are likely to have a hard time applying these higher order processes. So, yung mga bata na nakakaranas ng mga negative emotions, feelings, is nahihirapan na ma-apply itong mga higher order thinking or processes na ito. Simply because their emotional responses do not call for planning or problem solving. As a result, itong mga higher order processes and thinking na to is hindi nagagamit. So, they are underdeveloped and underused. For instance, when a young student experience involving negative emotions, it leads to focusing on the object of that emotion. For example, si Adam kanina. Pagpasok niya ng school, may nakita siyang nag-aaway. And habang pinipilit niya mag-focus, naaalala niya yung fight scene na nakita niya. So, hindi siya makapag-focus, hindi niya masagutan yung problem solving na sinasagutan niya. So, their cognitive resources are diverted away from classroom materials, distracting them from learning. So, nakaka-distract sa kanila kasi naiisip nila yung mga nakita nila pagpasok nila sa school, ganun. Yung mga negative emotions. And doon na lang sila magtutuon. Or mahahati yung focus nila sa emotions nila and doon sa discussion. So, according to Miss Courtney Arthur, the author of this Adam's World, back when she was teaching in a specific school, yung mga co-workers niya daw or co-teachers niya, ang sinasabi nila kapag may ganitong sitwasyon, katulad nung situation ni Adam, ang sinasabi daw nila, ay ayaw lang talaga nila mag-aral kaya ganyan sila. Ayaw lang talaga nilang matuto kaya ganun yung ginagawa nila. Mababa yung performance nila. Pero, in a few very tough moments na naranasan nila sa school na yun, they just realize na ay mali pala sila. They are wrong. They were absolutely wrong sa perspective nila, sa pananaw nila sa bawat bata. Hindi nila alam na may behind reason pa pala bakit sila ganon. And kasi nakafocus lang sila sa achievement ng bata. Hindi nila masyadong nabibigyan ng pansin yung kalagayan ng bata holistically sa emotional niya, mental, physical, or spiritual. Nakafocus lang sila sa achievement ng bata, sa performance ng bata. So, nung ma-realize nila yun, they want to address that problem. Pero, hindi nila alam kung ano yung gagawin nila to meet the needs of the students with that situation. Katulad nung kay Adam. Hindi nila alam kung saan sila magsisimula, kung ano yung gagawin nila. Kaya kahit gusto nilang masolusyonan yung mga problemang ganon, hindi nila magawa kasi they are lack of district resources, budget cuts, an overwhelming number of students in schools and districts na hindi nila kaya lahat i-cater, and limits on the counseling and support offered to students are all complicating factors. So, there are many factors. So, dahil nga may maraming factors na nakaka-apekto to address or to meet the needs of the children or the students like Adam na may ganong sitwasyon. They think ideas or ways to cope up with that situation or to address all that situations. So they suggested this 5 minutes of calm. So here are some strategies that we can use in our classroom set. First, offer the class time to free write or journal their thoughts first thing each morning before digging into the curriculum. Like this, it is a sample scenario. Good morning, kids. Let's start our opening prayer. May I call on Natalie to lead us in our prayer. Okay, thank you, Natalie. Before you take your seat, class, please pick some pieces of trashes and arrange your chair properly. Okay, thank you, kids. Good morning, class. How was your sleep? Okay, how is your morning? Okay, it's really obvious in your aura that you are very happy in this morning. Oh, me? Of course, I'm doing great. Before we start our discussion, did you bring your journal notebook? Wow, no one left his and her journal notebook today. So give yourself a very good clap. So 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3. Very, very good. Okay, thank you, kids. Okay, you know the drill, class. I will give you 5 minutes to write down all the thoughts and all you did in this morning. Like for example, I have a beautiful and wonderful morning today. My mother waked me up this morning. I ate a delicious bread and egg for my breakfast. Or you can write like, I'm so glad that I arrived safe in our school. Like that. It's just an example. Okay? Did you get it, class? Okay, thank you. You may now start writing down on your journal. Okay. The second one is take 5 minutes for the class to do a little yoga, such as child pose or forward pose next to their desk, and teach students deep breathing techniques that they can carry with them all day and each day. It can be a great break from the classroom routine or can also be a great way to use your physical education time. Yoga cultivates compassion, build focus, and help your students better handle their emotions. So, here are sample scenario. Good morning, class. How was your sleep? Oh, some of you did not sleep well last night. How about your morning? How is your morning? Oh, not all of you have a beautiful morning today. I can see it from your aura. Okay, class, stand up. I know what will help you to be relaxed. We will have our yoga time. But first, let's calm ourselves. Put your hands on your belly or stomach. Close your eyes and deeply breathe. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, I think you are now ready to start our yoga time. So that is a sample scenario that we can facilitate to have a yoga in our class. So all of these small calm activities can give students a brief respite and support their emotional well-being. Acknowledging stress, addressing it, and letting students know it is okay to take a step back and deal with it can be a life-saving tool for some children later down the road. Do you want to work to close the mathematics achievement gap? So here's where to begin. Start paying attention to and addressing the needs of the whole students, from preschool all the way up through high school. Change what happens before students walk through the front door. Change the support and understanding that they receive once they walk inside the school. And you will change their test scores. So that will be all. Thank you.